What's up everyone, my name is Abby, I like to read, and today I'm going to be reviewing A Vicious Game by Melissa Blair. So this video is going to have a non-spoiler section and then a spoiler section. I will say though, the non-spoiler section, since this is the third book in a series, it will have spoilers for the first and second book. So if you have not read the first book, A Broken Blade, and the second book, A Shadow Crown, then definitely go pick this series up. This is the Halfling Saga, and it is so good. I've really enjoyed the first three books in this series. So this book picks up maybe a few weeks after the second book ends, and we do kind of get flashbacks to like closer to like right after that book ended, but kind of the main gist of the story is a few weeks to maybe a month or two after the second book left off. So to give kind of a recap of how the second book ended and kind of where this book began. So Kira and Killian had gone back to the palace in order to kill the king because she was trying to break the seal on the magic on the land so that the magic would return. She found out that her mother, a light fae, had her and all the other light fae kind of sacrificed themselves in order to kind of take away the magic on the land, or kind of seal it in order to stop King, I think his name's Aemon, in order to stop him from destroying the lands and being a just general menace of society. So they sacrificed themselves, they left her in the rift, and she had the weapon in order to kill him and bring the magics back to the land. But Damien, the awful sibling and prince, put a wrench in that plan as he ended up, he was through the years slowly poisoning the king, and he eventually did die before she could kill him with the dagger. So that sucks. What also happened at the end is Damien also really brutally injured Gwen and killed Hildegard. Very sad, very sad. And that book kind of ended with Gerarda rescuing Kira from the hands of Damien. So a kind of non-spoiler summary of this book. Basically, Kira, because the plan with killing the king was destroyed by Damien, they now have to find these seals that are on the land, and they have to break the seals in order to restore the magic to the lands. Kira is dealing with a lot of guilt and grief, and she starts drinking again in this book. If you remember, in the first few books, she overcomes an addiction to alcohol, but she does kind of go back into that pattern, and it's really a book about healing and leaning on your family to help you in times of need. And it was really beautiful. I love all of the interactions between the characters, and there was a lot of heartbreak in this book. I gave this 5 stars. This is honestly my favorite of the series so far. There's one more book. There's gonna be 4 books in total. I'm really sad. I don't think it's coming out until maybe early next year, but I just really enjoyed this book. Definitely my favorite of the 3. So that's really all I can say without spoiling the rest of it. So come back to this video when you have finished this book. Okay, now to my discussion. I've got my notes with me here. First thing I have to say, I can't say I tried really hard because I obviously didn't. I went into this book and was like, okay, I'm gonna just read it and not skip ahead, because sometimes something in my brain makes my hands move and I flip to the end and I read the last page. And I tried not to do that, but I did do it. Even before I started this book, I really failed in my endeavors to not read ahead. And okay, huge spoiler if you have not read the book, don't listen to this part. You should be clicked off the video anyways. But I flipped to the part where we find out that Riven is Killian, or Killian is Riven. They're the same person. And I really wish I didn't read that, because I mean, obviously it was still a big reveal at the time when I read it, but I think I really wish I went into this book not knowing that until the reveal, because it made me look at this book so completely different than if I wouldn't have known the information. And I'm actually really excited to, closer to when the next book comes out, to go back and read the first 3 books again in order to prepare, because I think knowing this information, all of the books are going to feel different knowing that Killian is actually Riven. Because I called it, guys, in my like summary or like short review and my wrap up when I read the second book. I was like, that's kind of weird that there's like a hint of a love triangle in this book. Why is that happening when she's so obviously in it with Riven? That's why, because it wasn't Killian, it was also Riven being Killian. So that's why there was that like tension and like a hint of a love triangle. So technically there is a love triangle, except the 2 points of the triangle are the same person. And yeah, off the bat, I immediately spoiled myself. So bad Abby, bad Abby. So in this book, Kira is going after these seals in order to break the containment of the magic. I had to go back in the second book and kind of revisit, like, okay, what is Kira? Is she a halfling or is she a light fae? And apparently she is a halfling that like became a light fae because when the light fae sacrificed themselves, something happened to her. I don't know if I'm just a little bit confused about that or if that hasn't been completely revealed to us, but it's like, why was she left over? Was that explained? Did I miss that? Or is that gonna come in the next book? I don't know. I also had to go back and revisit what the bond was between Riven and Kira, which I am not even going to attempt to pronounce because I don't have it written in front of me and I will not pull that out of my memory. But so I went back and apparently their magic is like stronger because they are bonded, and their magic kind of speaks to each other. One thing that was just crazy to me is after every seal that Kira kind of destroyed so that the magic was slowly being released back into the land, she gained new powers. So first she had, what did she have? Air, and so then she got fire, she got water, and then she got wings, which I think that should have been, okay, at the end it was a big part of the story where she was like using them a lot, but the time that she got the wings to the time that they broke the next seal, I feel like it didn't show her practicing that at all. And it's like, I feel like this should have been something that you practiced a little bit more, you know, flying. Also, is she shifting into a bird or is she just getting wings? I also love that Sierra is like deathly afraid of birds, and Kira now has wings or can entirely shift into a bird. So a lot of this book was Kira trying to heal, and we actually get at the end of this book a full reveal of what happened with her and Brenna. Is it Brenna? Oh my gosh. I might get some of these names wrong because when I read, for some reason, I don't actually process that there's names. Yes, it is Brenna. So we find out that it wasn't just that she killed Brenna to save herself. Brenna had poisoned herself and had already made that decision for Kira. So Kira killed her in order to give her a kinder death than the poison, which is so sad. And the scene where she is at Brenna's grave and her family is around her just being present, and she is telling them what happened and showing them the scars, that I don't think I've ever read like a more emotional scene in all of my reading journey. One thing I do wish we got a little bit more of is the trials that Kira went through in order to kind of detox or heal from her alcohol addiction. So Sierra and Riven take her to a place where Sierra actually was able to heal from, was it Winvera berries, which are like extremely addictive. And there were 5 trials, but we only see the last one. And I feel like since Kira's alcohol addiction is so like a huge hurdle that she has to overcome throughout this whole series, I kind of wish we got more into those trials and had just a whole chapter dedicated to her finally overcoming this big hurdle. The whole thing with Damien now being able to enter Kira's dreams. So at the very end of the last book, he injected something into her. We then find out that it was the serum that he has been testing on other halflings, where he can then enter their dreams. And we find out that that is essentially why Kira has taken up drinking again, because she finds that when she drinks, I guess it kind of dulls her senses and her dreams so that she doesn't dream and he can't enter her dreams. It was really hard seeing those scenes where he kind of comes in and shows her all of her bad memories and kind of brings up all that negativity back into her life when she's trying to move on and heal. And then we find out that Colin was actually the mole instead of, I don't remember his name, I think it started with a T, who we thought was the mole at the end of the second book. It's actually Colin, and it wasn't actually on purpose. It was because he was one of the halflings that Damien had tested this on, and he was entering his dreams, which throughout this book, you kind of see that Colin is sick for some reason and not getting better, and he can't eat. So it's kind of hinted throughout the book, and then we finally get that reveal. The last half of this book was so heartbreaking. The scene where Damien has captured Killian and Kira, Killian's unconscious, and he then says, you have to make a choice again. You have to save Riven or Nikolai's mom. It starts with an M. The name has escaped me. Nikolai's mom, we will call her. And I was shocked. I genuinely thought she was going to save Nikolai's mom, because she in the book it says Riven is this direction, Nikolai's mom is this direction, she goes this way. But then she explains that she knows Damien's mind, and she knows that he would have switched them. So she goes this way, or what he thought is she would go this way, or she would go this way, thinking she was going to save Riven, and Riven wouldn't be there. And so he switched them. And so she knows that. So she goes this way, knowing that Riven is this way, even though Damien said that he was this way. It was just, I was like, what? That's just genius to be able to figure out that that's how his mind would have worked. And she then finds out that Colin was there instead of Riven. So she then runs back this way, is able to save Nikolai's mom initially, but then we learn, which was actually hinted at in the book a little bit earlier, where the healer is like, we have to get the smoke out of your lungs because it can cause heart attacks. So that was like a bit of information kind of foreshadowing this event where Nikolai's mom does end up passing away because of the kind of smoke that was in her lungs, which is so sad. That was so devastating that Nikolai and Sierra have just gotten their mother and or sister back, and then she ends up dying anyways. But that is a scene where we find out that Killian is actually Riven and vice versa, because if Killian was unconscious on the floor, then obviously Damien did not have Riven because Killian was right there. So that was heartbreaking, and that's the point where Riven, Killian, no, I'm gonna call him Riven because that is the character that we have been introduced as a love interest. So I'm gonna call him Riven. But that guilt that he feels after that, knowing that if he had told Kira before, then this wouldn't have even been an issue. And then we also find out that Vrail is the one that has been acting as Killian whenever Riven and Killian are in the same room. Because I had that information before I started this book, it was so funny whenever they would have their meetings, like their council meetings, and Riven and Killian would be in the same room, and Kira would be like, "Where's Vrail? Why is Vrail not here?" And they're like, "Oh, she's reading in the library. It's fine. She won't be here. We'll catch her up later." It's like I knew that Vrail was actually in the room being Killian, so that was funny. I'm really looking forward to going back and rereading the first and second book and seeing those moments where either Vrail is acting as Killian or Killian is actually Riven at that time. At the end, it is crazy. They finally break that last seal, which I really thought that either Kira or Riven were gonna die because of like the toll that it was taking on them to break that seal. But no, they broke it. Magic is all back. It's all happy, except Nikolai has been taken by Karen. So that's really upsetting. I love Nikolai. I think he is a great, not only like a comedic relief in the book, but also just a great character in general who has a deep backstory with a lot of grief and just a really good character all in all. And I'm so sad that he is now in harm's way. So I am really interested and hoping that we get him back very soon in the next book. And I hope he doesn't die. Oh my gosh. I really hope he doesn't die. So after that seal is broken, we find out that Riven, his magic is not hurting him anymore. He says he can't feel his magic, so I'm taking that as his magic is gone. But maybe in the next book, somehow it's not actually gone. It's just kind of the pain is away and the magic is like, it should probably feel different. You know, he's only felt his magic being painful his whole life. So maybe him not feeling pain is just a new way of him feeling his magic. But I'm taking that as he no longer has magic. And then Kira has gold eyes. So earlier in the book, it was somehow mentioned of, was it like the first, it was either like the first light fae or is it like a goddess or something with gold eyes. So I'm wondering, is Kira a goddess? Is she a god? Is she just the most powerful being ever? I don't know. I don't know what this means. Obviously it means something, but I really want to know more about Kira's lineage. Who is Kira? Who is she? Why is she so powerful? So I'm very interested to learn more about that. I think that's all I really have to say about this book. I really loved it. Yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment if you read this book. Did you like it? What are some of your theories about next book? Subscribe if you want to see more content, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys. The end of this book was crazy. So, wait, no. Then obviously Damien did not have Rivian because, not Rivian.